All right, today we're talking about different types of metal roofing. So this is a dog kennel that I built, and it has what we call corrugated roofing. It's basically galvanized metal, and the corrugation refers to the wavy pattern that's on here. This was not installed exactly how you would normally install it. There's a couple of issues. The biggest one being that you can see I've just screwed down in the valleys of these, and that's actually a big no-no. The reason is because obviously that's where water is going to go, and right now I'm relying on, there's a little rubber washer underneath of this screw, and that's what I'm relying on to waterproof this this structure, which is kind of lame. It basically means that eventually that's going to give out. Normally what you would do is you would actually, there's a piece of wood that has that same wavy pattern in it, and you put that underneath here, and then you can screw into the top without compressing the wavy part of the roofing. So that's how you would do it properly. The fasteners on this type of roofing are exposed. It's inexpensive. It doesn't require a lot of skill to install. Basically just putting one sheet up and screwing it down, and then overlapping the next one and screwing that down. So now we're going to head up to the roof of the house up there, and I'll show you what I did up there. All right, so we're currently on the roof. This is a roof that I redid. I guess I finished it about 2 years ago, and it was asphalt shingles, and I tore all those off and kind of redesigned the roof, and then switched to metal roofing. This is a different style of roofing called standing seam. And the reason that it's called standing seam is because of this seam right here that stands up. You can see it. There's a flat pan, and then the standing seams between each of those. These ribs here. The cool thing about this is, you may notice you can't see any fasteners, right? There's not a single screw outside, and that means that this roof has a very long lifespan. And the reason that's one of the reasons why I chose it is basically because of how long it's going to last. And so this style of roof is what I'm going to be showing you how to do today. I've got a tiny little pump house for my pool pump, and I've got to put a roof on it. And so what I did is I took some leftover roofing from this the house roof project here, and we're going to install it. So I'm going to show you how to do all the cool flashings and all that sort of stuff. But a couple things that are different. This roof actually has a vented ridge, which means the ridge cap itself is actually perforated. So if I zoom in here on, inside of here, there's all these perforations, basically just holes, and that's venting air out of the ridge here, which is a super cool feature. Keeps the house nice and cool, or the roof attic space nice and cool. A lot of stuff going on. You can see both ends. The end of these panels right here has been folded under, and that's what's holding it down onto the roof. And then there's clips on the ribs, and you guys will see those when I start to show you how to do it. But that's kind of the gist of things. All right, so behind me is the pump house for the pool. As you can see, it's a basic shed roof. It looks just like the sheds that we're building out back. Same pitch, so it's got a 2 and 12 pitch, and pretty small area. Basically, I'll kind of stand up here. You can see I've got it waterproofed. And what we're going to be doing today is putting on the metal roofing. So I've been kind of, getting all my parts together and stuff. Here's the actual pans, just like the standing seam that was up on my roof, so it's same stuff. And you can see on the edge here, it's got a groove, and then this slot, the other side of it here, that, like this one, will fit over the top of that one, like that. Okay, so here's the first piece that's going to go on. This is called a drip edge. Basically what's going to happen is the roof pans are going to come over the top of this, and they're going to get folded under, and they're going to grab onto this little spot right here. So water will run down, and then if it hits this, it'll kick it out. So this is going to live right here on the edge of the building, or on the edge of the roof, right? And then you can see that it actually matches the roof pitch here and the fascia here. So now it's going to kick anything off that way, which is going to be pretty slick. So that will get screwed down here, and then the roof pans will come over the top and cover those screws up. So it's going to hide any sort of any leak possibilities. Okay, so this is that piece of drip edge. I'm going to screw it down. You can see that I've got my cap nails for my waterproofing, and that's telling me where my rafter is. And I'm going to screw into that rafter there as well. So to get this down, basically you're going to put that, get the screw lined up, and you're going to hit the back of your drill. It's going to push that bolt through and screw it down. You'll notice that we're using pan head screws, not tapered. We want flat-headed screws to hold these down and to be nice low-profile screws. So there's one. I'll screw the rest off. Okay, so there's the drip edge. You can see it's all screwed down. Last thing we're going to do is there's a protective film on this stuff so it doesn't get ruined during shipping. And so the last thing I'm going to do is pull that protective film off. Okay, I'm basically mocking up the first pan, so trying to get it to where it's going to fit. So I've set it down. These are the clips that are going to hold this thing down, so they're going to slide in here and clip into place like so, and then they get screwed down to the rafters. So I want this seam to land right on a rafter. So I've moved it around to where I want it, and then this is the gable end cap, and what this is going to do is it's going to cover up the end of this pan. So you can see under here there's a little return. That return, basically what I need to do is I need to bend this pan, I need to cut it off and bend it over, and then this is going to slide in and catch that. So it's a little hard to grasp, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this pan off, or cut this top ridge off here, bend it all over, and then these will interconnect. And then this ridge cap will slide into it, I think, like so, and then get screwed into the rafter here, and that's what's going to hold the roof together. So I'm going to cut it off, and then you'll kind of see how that. Okay, next step here is I need to cut this one to length. This is one of the older ones that I need to recut so it actually fits that particular roof. I'm going to use both my shears, and I've got a battery-powered Makita shear too, which is, it's basically got a little set of jaws. It's called a nibbler, and you can see it just is basically going to chew it up, and it takes out a little bit of material, which takes a little getting used to, but I'll show you what I'm going to do in a sec here. So I have to make an opening big enough for the jaws of that thing to fit through, and I'm just kind of guesstimating right now what that is. And another weird part about this stuff is just trying to figure out how you can actually do things with the shears. They do make left and right-handed shears, but in this case I'm just going to use these. So I'm going to do that. Same thing on the other side. Make a little room. Come through with the nibblers. Let's see. And you can see it's actually taking out a little corkscrew material cut. Quick and easy way to cut. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is I need to hem the end of this pan under to catch that eave. And so I need to take a notch out, a 1-inch notch out of each of these. I'm going to use some shears, and of course you'll also notice I'm wearing gloves. When you cut this stuff, it creates all kinds of sharp edges, and so it's really important to keep track of the pieces. And obviously protect yourself as well. All the way down into the pan like so, and then just the slightest angle on it, and that last little bit can break off. So you want to put those somewhere safe so you don't end up cutting yourself. Same thing on this end, cutting out a notch. Coming in at a slight angle. Last little bit. Okay, this is our hemming tool. It's basically 2 plates. A piece of metal is going to slide in there, and then this is going to create a nice straight edge for it to bend on. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that you've got a piece of wood as a backer, because you've got to curl it underneath, and there's nothing supporting this piece right here, so you want to make sure that you're going to slide that underneath. This is your backer piece of wood. Hemming tool, and this one's specific for this pan width, so it's going to slide on there and set it down on our backer block and bend over, and then flip and do the last little bit of the bend there, and there you go. You can see you've got a nice little return on that. I'm going to push it down, kind of get it as tight as I can get it without touching, and there's the little return. So now this is going to slide in, the eave is going to slide into there, or the drip edge, sorry. Alright, so here's the first piece. You can see the return that I've bent on it here. So that was out here, and we bent it underneath, and the purpose of that return is so that when you slide it, it's going to grab a hold, and that's what's going to hold that piece of roofing down, and there's no screws and no holes. Okay, so the next pan's ready to go on. I'm going to slide it over the top of that one, like so. Kind of get it kind of in position here, and I'm going to push this down and slide it up, and then I'll go down the entire rib and push it down into place. Screwing the top in, and then clips. Alright, so I've got the third pan on. There it is there. So you can see now how stable these things are. I mean, I can kind of wiggle it around, but it's not going to come off. These are the clamps that are screwed down into the rafter, and they're clipped over the top. And then the next piece obviously comes over and covers that whole thing. So now you can see there's no fasteners on this whole situation, but it's super stable, and there's no leaks. Obviously there can't be any leaks because each pan, water's running out of this pan. So pretty sweet setup. Alright, so I've got this piece all cut. The purpose of all these ridiculous cuts is basically to make it so this whole thing covers the end of itself. So you can see there's a bunch of tabs I need to bend over. And what I need, the tool I'm going to use for that is basically a set of vice grips with some jaws on it. It looks like this. Last piece is the ridge cap. You can see it's got a drip edge on it that's going to go down the front fascia. So it's going to set right there and cover up all the last little bits there. What I've done is I've just drawn a line where the edge of this is, and to fill in that section there, we're going to use a piece called Z closure. And this was the same thing that was the vented ridge on the main house. Basically it looks like this. It's kind of a zigzag pattern, and what we're doing here is we're cutting pieces out that are going to fit in between like this and catch that cap, that last piece that's going to go on there. So we need to basically make a bunch of these. So what I've done is I've cut it out like that, and now we just need to bend the tabs back. And these tabs, the purpose of the tabs is to catch this mastic stuff. It's like a waterproofing basically. So you can see I've just got some vice grips there that are clamping it. Give it a nice crisp bend, and then bend it back like so. And then last one here, same thing. So now we've got all the pieces cut. This one's a little bit weird. You can see it's got to get contoured to fit the eave. And same thing over here. So we've got all the pieces cut. Those are going to get screwed down on the back after I put some mastic on there. So this is the roll of mastic. It's kind of funny stuff. It's like super sticky and flexible, and it's basically made to fill any weird irregularities or voids. So what you're going to do is you're going to start on one end of your Z closure, and you can see I'm leaving the backing tape on there. I'm going to wrap all the way down like so, and just kind of rub it on there, make sure it's actually adhering. And then along the edge here, and just want to make sure that I'm filling all those voids. And then sometimes you can rip this stuff, or you can use the I like to use the shears sometimes as well, or a pair of scissors or whatever. Alright, so there you go. And then last step here, I should mention that there is that protective film on this piece as well, and so you want to remove that protective film before you put the mastic on. So I've already done that. And then last part, you're going to pull off the little backing tape, expose that mastic, stick it into place. Let's get that one out of the way, and then you're going to screw the back of this down. That. I finished screwing these Z closures down, so now we're going to take this. You can see it's got a little return here. That's going to slide up and catch this lip, and then this thing will be waterproofed. So hopefully like. There's our ridge. So finished up here. You can see we've got a completed roof. Pretty exciting. A couple little details that you didn't get to see. Up here you can see I've put a little rivet in to hold those two pieces together. And if any water somehow gets in there, it would just leak out to the outside, so no big deal. The only screws you can see on the entire roof are the screws holding this stuff out onto the fascia. And so what we have here is the same thing. If water does somehow get in there, worst case scenarios, it might rot out this outside board, but it's just going to leak outside the structure, which is ideal. So there it is.